The simple measurements are just the bust, waist, and hips. That's the most common thing I need, and then we're going to go on and do about 26 measurements so that I can actually draft out custom-made garments for Holly. But just to find out if you fit the things I have already, we're going to do the bust, which is right across the boobs there, and then we're going to do the waist, and we're doing always the natural waist. And what you do is you put this where the smallest part is, so probably lean one side and then the other, and that helps it gravitate right to the middle. Okay, good stuff. So that is your waist measurement at your natural waist. And then the hips is, turn sideways. The hips is the thickest part, so it's right before it starts falling off. Okay, so you're looking for wherever you can find the biggest number. That's your hips, whatever the biggest number you got there is. One thing that's really helpful to do is tie a little piece of yarn around or string around the waist, because it'll gravitate to that narrowest spot that we want, and you're going to be referencing that for a bunch of the other measurements. And then another thing that we want to do is sort of draw a little line right down the side that we're going to use for reference, so that you also have a side mark that you can come back to. If you don't have chalk, you can put any piece of tape and then draw on that with a marking pen, and just make sure it's in a color that it's easy for you to see. So Holly's wearing black and I'm using this. Another good marking tool is this tiny little sliver of soap, and that usually comes out. And also, if you're doing this on clothes that you can, wash readily, that's really helpful too. And you know your bra size?
I'm a 40 triple D.
Okay, so just go ahead and put that in. And I'm not an expert on measuring underwear, so if you don't know your bra size, hit Victoria's Secret and see if the sales rep will help you find the perfect bra for you. Neck, okay, so this is a circumference, so going all the way around. The neck measurement here is 14 1/4. See right there? Okay, cool. Okay, so this is, if I'm going to build a corset or anything like that, I want to know what this measurement is right here. So it is 34.5. And I'm measuring that one a tiny bit snug, which these other measurements, I'm just taking them exact, but that one I made just a tiny bit snug because it's something that would hold up for girls.
Next.
Okay, center front goes from the middle of her neck, like where her shirt would be, at the bottom of her neck. So you see where it stops sort of curving, like this area here, okay? So center front goes from here down to her waistline.
Center back.
Okay, and this will be, there's usually like at the bottom of the neck, kind of a little bony spot. And you just gotta eyeball it, it's not perfection, but this is 14 and 1/8. This is a little tiny bit shorter here on the back. And full length is when you go from the highest point, which is where her neck is, her neck and her shoulder, and you go over the boob. So we're getting the full length of this longest area, and it is 17 7/8.
Full length back.
We'll do the same from the same area in the back. And this is another one where it's helpful to mark it with tape or something like that. New strap, and again, it's really helpful if you mark things like what you're using as her reference point for the shoulder blade would be another good one to mark with tape. And the new strap is just straight down the side without catching the boob. I'm going again from that shoulder tip, and I can see through here where her bust is because she's braless and lawless. So that makes it easy. If you don't know the model well, you can ask for help, or if you're measuring yourself, you can get a pretty good idea where that is. You're looking for like where it feels bony. So not necessarily where the seam of the shirt is, because sometimes shirts are too small or too big for people, so you're kind of feeling for a little bone that's out there. and then going right to that middle. Okay, and we're doing the same thing in the back. Now it's important that you come forward to the same point because it's oftentimes farther in the back. And the bust span is the distance between those two boobs. And on Holly here it is 8. The side length is the length from the armpit, so I'm sticking this end right up into the armpit, and I'm putting it 1 finger length below so that it's not quite all the way up and down to that waist, and she's 7 inches there. So the back neck, we're basically doing a arc rather than a full circumference. So we're going from that backbone around to the side, and I'm seeing 4 inches there. And it's good when you're using these later we had the circumference of the neck, so you can look at the back and the front of the neck, those different measurements, and see if they add up. Shoulder length. Okay, and this is the length from the edge of the neck, and again, we're looking for, the bottom of it where it stops curving upward to that shoulder point, and you can see I marked it before, and I have 4.5 here. Okay, so we're going to do across the shoulder, and this is from shoulder tip to shoulder tip in the front, and in the back it is 16. So she has more width than a lot of people do in the shoulders and the back. Across chest is going to be above the breast at about halfway through the we call it the arm side, the top of the shoulder and the area underneath, about halfway through there, and we're going from side to side. Okay, and on the front, and I'm sure we're doing it on the back next. About halfway between the top of this and the bottom, the top of your shoulder and your armpit, right? So we're taking it. Let's get it on the proper side. We're taking it from here, and in this case I can see that she has a shirt on, so I'm kind of using that seam and cheating a little, and turn just a little more towards the camera, Holly. And I'm getting 15 on this side. Okay, so the waist arc, and do my notes say 1/4 or 1/2? Because the arc just refers to this. So I'm always like, well, how much of that? Okay, so what we're doing with the waist arc is sometimes people aren't the same amount on that. We have the circumference already, but sometimes for higher accuracy, people have more in the front or in the back. Older people tend to have more in the front, and sometimes just if somebody has a real way back, there's less in the back. So I'm measuring from the center front to that same reference point. Now turn towards the camera a little on the side. No, the other direction, so that we can find it. So it's really helpful to have these chalk marks, because when we're measuring the back half, we can get it the same. And this is 10.5. Okay, and I'm going from this side here to the center back, and I have 7.25, and I'm kind of seeing where her back seam comes up. And again, you'll want to check these against your circumference to make sure they add up, and adjust where you think is necessary. So your abdomen is this area here that's about halfway between your waist and your hips. And if there's a specific place where somebody bulges out, that's what you want to capture. If there's a specific place, then take an actual measurement. I go halfway between, and she was, 11 down, so that would be 6.5. So I'm just going across here to get her abdomen. We're taking the arc of the front and the arc of the back. And it's the same thing back here. So starting from that chalk line on the side and going to the back, but at the abdomen height, we're seeing about 9. Oftentimes we're different amounts in the front and the back, and that's why we take them separately. If you do just have a circumference, you can just sort of, mush it, and that's fine. There, I made it really clear. Okay, so I'm going right from the middle to where my side is, and I'm looking up to see where my line is.
Hip arc.
Okay. And once again, I'm coming straight down this line, picking it from the same place. I'm going across the back, and I'm looking at where the middle is. Hips. Okay, and again, we're looking for the widest spot. And the other thing that I want to measure while I'm here at that widest spot is how far down those hips are, and they are 10.75. This one's actually a little easier to get with a straight ruler if you have it. Holly, go ahead and sit down for a sec.
Facing the camera or facing this way?
Yeah, just this way is great. No, just sideways, I'm sorry. We'll get there. Okay, so the hip arc, I'm measuring from her seat right up to that area where that waistline is. And the crotch length, okay, we're gonna get personal with this one. You're gonna help me, Holly. Go ahead and stand up. All right. This one, it really helps to have somebody else that can do it with you. If you can't find somebody else, you can hold it in the back. put it through your legs and take the measurement in the front. But I'm gonna have Holly hold it in the front. I'm gonna take it through her legs and turn around to the back, right there. And we're measuring all the way through there so we know how far it needs to go down for her pants to fit. And waist to knee this is nice, I can see her knees. If you can't see someone's knees and you're taking it, have them bend just a little so that you can find that spot.
Waist to ankle.
And waist to ankle, and again, I can see her ankle. It is 40 and a half, and I know it's coming next, so let's get it while we're down here. So I just eyeball this, but I'm looking for really the thickest part of her thigh, so can you stand just a little farther apart? Yeah. Okay, and it is 24 3/4.
Knee.
And here at the knee. Trying to figure out which direction it's going.
Calf.
The ankle here is 8 and a half, because this is 8 and we're going towards 9, 8 and a half. And then when she takes her shoe off, we're gonna get the width of the opening so that her foot can get in if there isn't buttons or anything like that. And that's 11 and a half, you can see here. So when we're measuring the arm, we're gonna go from this little shoulder point down to the elbow, and we're gonna bend your elbow just a little. We're gonna bend the arm a little so that we get that extra distance. And then we're going to basically this wrist bone here. So a slight bend in the elbow, we can measure from that bone around that turn. So, okay.
Bicep.
Bicep is the thickest part, and if you're gonna flex, go ahead and do it. Yeah, oh, she's got muscles there, 13 and a half.
Circumference.
Okay, so this is similar to the foot entryway. We just wanna make sure we have enough room to get her hand through. I like to do the fist, but you can also, if you want a narrower sleeve, you can do the pointed hand for this one. Okay, we're gonna do head because inevitably, if I don't do it, I decide you're gonna have a headdress or a hat. That's all the measurements that I need for your custom-made patterns that are gonna fit your body, hopefully perfectly the first time around. The body is all kinds of different sizes and shapes as we move around, so taking this as accurately as you can to compensate for the inaccuracies of the way that our body moves is really helpful. Like if we got accidentally the short area and then you're moving into a shape where that gets bigger, it really helps to have that sort of median